what I walked away from the roast being, I was trying to just throw myself under the bus constantly of like, oh, it's like when someone wins the Super Bowl or MVP. It was really a team effort, and it really was for me with my team. But I was like, okay, walk away. You know what? I'm going to give myself credit for I know what's funny. I'm a good curator, and I really did run that. I know I picked that set, and someone else could have had every element that I had and would have done a totally different set. So I give myself some credit for that. I give myself some credit for the performance and the timing, and I did write a lot of the jokes and. I could find a way to say, okay, I'm special, but then I also don't want to think that I'm special either. I don't want to think too much that I'm special.
Yes, I understand that. Believe me.
But I'm really hot.
I understand that you are.
And that's what I'm taking away from
Drop
this.
dead gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
And you can't walk around thinking that, but every now and then you've got to just go into like a phone booth if they even exist anymore.
Where's this going?
No, go into a phone booth and shut it and just be like,
say, in the phone booth?
You say quietly to yourself, Nikki, I am very hot. And then you come out of the phone. That's all.
You need to say that to yourself.
Yeah, you do too, Conan. I know,
you're
like, hey,
so
attractive.
Handsome guy.
Yeah, but
there are two of those little isolation phone booths here in the studio that you guys
we can do that.
We'll each go into our separate phone booths and talk about how hot we are.
Do you ever do affirmations? Because I honestly do that sometimes. Not the beautiful
one. Mine are all
one,
negative.
That's the problem.
Various negative things about myself.
Yeah, no, I mean, but you have the same struggle of like feeling like less than in various ways.
But you know what's interesting? I think you can probably relate to this. I believe that our core sense of self is molded at a very early age. Mm-hmm. And so I was in a very different situation when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. And that's when my view of the world and my place in it was formed. It's like that's when the cement dried. And then later on...
And what is that view? What do you take away from that age?
Oh, getting picked last to be on a team.
Right.
Kids give me a hard time. I got a funny name. I've got a lot of freckles and orange hair. And I don't quite know where I fit in.
And is that when the amping up the sense of humor kind of took over?
I think it's when...
that age?
I think what happens... I've always had this theory that you look in, you're given this like little bag of tricks when you're born. You don't even know what's in there. And then you spend time finding little things and you're like, is great athlete in here? Jeez, I don't see it.
Yeah.
And for me it was,
totally.
For me it was, this bag feels kind of light. Like I'm walking around and seeing other people with their bags and they're just like, all this stuff is coming out of it. Harp prodigy, can throw a fastball 90 miles an hour, looks like a young Cary Grant. And I'm going like,
it's just some chapstick in an old receipt.
But also, and also, there's still a lot of, it's a relatively new bag, so there's a lot of tissue they put in it just to fill out the bag.
Oh my
and I'm
God.
like, it looked fuller, but this is just tissue. And then,
so where did you get the first kind of inclination that you have a special skill for comedy? Because that had to be where you go. I found it in my bag.
3rd, 4th grade, I start to realize that
young.
Yeah, I start to realize that people are really laughing when I'm doing things, and then they kind of give me a break. But then I keep devaluing it, and I keep thinking, well, that's just for your friends. That doesn't really... So it took a while. I mean, it's really not until college that I see the real value of, wait a minute, writing...
Because that's when the pussy started coming in.
Oh, man. Yes.
Professor Pussy here.
Yeah. Professor Pussy.
He's drowning in puss.
Yeah. Nope.
But what in college, that's when there's something here.
That's when I started, but then it still took a long time because physically, it took me a long time for me to come into my own because I grew tall late very quickly, and I'm 6'4", 155 pounds. And I've talked to structural engineers, and they say that's not possible. And I'm like, and I see pictures from that era, and I look, it's fucking crazy.
It's so crazy. Yeah, that's what happened to me too. Like I was anorexic at college. I've probably told this on this podcast before, but it was absolutely. I loved comedy, absorbed it all. Was always just laughing at my friends and just admiring them for how funny they were, and I definitely had funny lines here and there, and I just would study comedy. But it wasn't until college where I was so, skinny and no one wanted to be friends with me. And I was so just someone that everyone was making fun of and whispering about that I was like, I gotta do something else that people are going to talk about. I got to take control of this. And that's when I started to hear, oh, you're funny. And then that's when I found that in my bag. I didn't know that I was looking in that bag that you're talking about for so long of like, what is going to be my fucking thing? Like, I know I want to be a performer. I know I want to be on TV, but doing what? Wasn't good at acting. I didn't go to even a performing arts high school, but I was still getting like Jewish townsperson B in the Diary of Anne Frank, and I was a senior. Like, this was supposed to be my moment to finally get the lead. And
hey, if you do it right, that's the role. That's the role people talk about. Forget this Anne Frank bitching and moaning. Look at that Jewish townsgirl in the back.